Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about the Repair Factory crafting event for War Thunder. Just so you guys know, this event will be running from April 6th at 12 GMT, so tomorrow as of the recording of this video, to April 17th, again at 12 GMT. And essentially, this is going to function like more or less every other crafting event that we've had in War Thunder, at least as of the last few years. So there are 4 rewards. We have the AMD 35 SA35, the Shcherbakov, which is a light cruiser for the Russians, the QN 506, which is pretty much just a crazy BMP-2M/Terminator for the Chinese ground tech tree, and the A7K, which is pretty much just an A7 but for the Americans and an event vehicle with AIM-9Ls. Now these vehicles will again be unlocked pretty much the same way as they always are, and this time they are unlocked with acceptance certificates, and I'll go over what those are in just a second. But essentially, the AMD 35 SA35 will cost 1 acceptance certificate and be a premium vehicle, whereas every other vehicle will cost 3 acceptance certificates, which basically means that, and again, I'll go over this in just a second, in order to get an acceptance certificate, you have to go through the entire crafting tech tree 1 time. So in order to get 1, you just have to do it once, but in order to get 3, so if you want the Shcherbakov, the QN 506, or the A7K, you have to go through an entire complicated tech tree for the crafting event 3 whole times each. And bear in mind, once you use up an acceptance certificate, it is used up. So you can't just buy the AMD 35 SA35 and expect that you still have that acceptance certificate to use. You will not. So if you want to buy that, and for example, the QN 506, you need a total of 4 acceptance certificates. And if you want to get all of these things, you'll need 10 acceptance certificates, or of course, you can just purchase these vehicles on the marketplace after the event. But again, I'll go over that in just a second. Now again, this is pretty much just a reskinned version of previous crafting events, so the rules are more or less the same. So that being said, in order to actually be able to craft things, you will need materials and crate modules, and you can also optionally get factory upgrade toolkits, but those are not necessary. Now the base thing that you will need will be materials, and these are required for getting through each and every portion of the tech tree, and these will be issued for every 2500 mission score. Bear in mind that mission score is dependent on what tier you're playing, dependent on if you're playing AB, RB, even Sim I believe has an impact on it. So because this works on a modifier system, again with RB, SB counting more than AB, and also higher tiers counting for more than lower tiers, if you're playing for example tier 7 ground RB, you'll be getting more score counted again based on these multipliers than you would if you're playing for example tier 3 AB. And bear in mind that unless you're using an event vehicle earned from a previous event, you need to use rank 3 and above vehicles in order to get anything counted for this. So if you use rank 2 vehicles, your score will not be counted and you will not earn materials for the usage of that vehicle. And in each of these material boxes, you'll be getting 3 to 6 materials. Obviously, getting 6 materials is best because that will make it so that you need fewer boxes in order to go through and get through the tech tree for the crafting event. Next, we have crate modules. These are unlocked after every 7500 mission score, again based on the multiplier. If you have like a 1.3 RB multiplier and like a 1.37 rank 7 multiplier, I'm not sure how the multipliers exactly are going to rank when it comes to this crafting event in particular, but let's say if you have that, then you'll be getting the crafting score much quicker than you would if you had, again, rank 3 and playing AB or whatever. But regardless, for every 7500 score based on that multiplier, you'll get a crate module. These are pretty much used again in the same way as materials, except that these are kind of used to combine everything at the end of the crafting tree, at least based on how this one is specifically worded. Now, there is a small chance you can get an entire crate found, so oftentimes you'll need to combine like 20 of these crate modules, and you'll get a crate, or maybe 4 in this instance. I'm not sure exactly how many you'll need, but there is a small chance you can get an entire crate rather than just a module, which again would be preferred. And finally, you have the factory upgrade toolkit. This is pretty much just going to accelerate everything. Typically, it takes 12 hours at the end of a tech tree during the crafting event in order to craft an acceptance certificate. but with a basic factory upgrade toolkit, it should take, I believe, 4 hours, and with the advanced one, it'll take 1 hour. Now, these are given if you get, I believe it's like 20 first place wins and then 50 first place wins. I'm not entirely sure the exact amount, but you pretty much have to win a decent amount of times. These can be purchased and sold on the marketplace pretty much like everything else here, but the factory upgrade toolkit's totally optional, and especially if you're going to sleep and you're crafting an acceptance certificate while you're sleeping, it really is not really all too important. So just bear that in mind. Factory upgrade toolkits are totally optional. And another very important thing is that these scores carry over between battles. So let's say if you got 2,000 points once and then you got 3,000 points in the next match, then that means that you'll get 2 materials crates after the second match because you'll have accumulated a total of 5,000 score in total between the 2 matches. So they do carry over, and it is possible to get multiple boxes in a single match. So if you have a really, really good match, you can get numerous materials or even crate modules at the end of, again, a match. Unfortunately, the way that Gaijin does crafting events, it's not extremely intuitive to new players, so I would highly suggest watching videos that kind of explain them. I do have my own crafting event explained video, so if you guys want to check that out, you can. It is older and of lesser quality compared to my newer videos, but it should hopefully go over the gist of it. Now, that being said, in order to receive the rewards, you can pretty much get the top rewards, so the QN506, A7K, and Shcherbakov from the start of the event until the 1st of May. So there will be a few weeks after the event ends that you can still get these vehicles. And the reason being is because people can still trade these materials on the market. They may have materials that they just didn't unlock or that they didn't open or combine at the very end of the period where you can still obtain the materials, which is again April 17th at 12 GMT. So after April 17th at 12 GMT, you will no longer be able to obtain new materials. So bear that in mind, at least not through matches, but you can still purchase them on the marketplace. So very, very important. And finally, the AMD 35 SA35 can be obtained from April 24th at 12 GMT all the way through May 1st at 12 GMT, although PlayStation and Xbox players can get it from April 17th all the way through May 1st, again 12 GMT for both. Now, the reason being for this is I think that because it only costs 1 acceptance certificate, getting this would just dissuade people from getting other things like the Shcherbakov, the QN506, or A7K. So I think that's just kind of a way for Gaijin to encourage people like, hey, if you're going to keep playing, may as well keep playing until you get 3. Thus, you can get those 3 bigger ones sooner chronologically than you would with the AMD 35 SA35. Now, finally, Xbox and PlayStation players, as I mentioned just a few seconds ago, they do get a little bit different treatment here when it comes down to it. So you can actually buy, because they cannot go on the marketplace, you can purchase materials via Golden Eagle. So basically you'll get a box of 50 materials for Golden Eagles, and you can also get a bunch of crate modules for Golden Eagles, although the crate modules are a little bit different because it more or less kind of gives you more crate modules for every 7,500 mission scores rather than just giving them to you for paying Golden Eagles. So it's more or less acts like a booster towards your crate modules, so pretty important to know. Now, all of these can be obtained, everything can be obtained via the Ground Arcade Realistic and Sim Battles, Aircraft Arcade and Realistic, and also Naval Arcade and Realistic, and you can also play the Mobile Infantry event, and you'll accrue score for this. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly what score you'll be getting, so like if it's on a 1-to-1 ratio, I'm not sure if there's any multipliers for the Mobile Infantry event. I'm assuming it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Maybe it'll be a somewhat bad multiplier, like 0.9 times the score. So like, for example, if you have 2,000 score in Mobile Infantry, I'm expecting that you'll either get 2,000 score towards this event, or possibly a little bit less, maybe like 1,800 score, but it could also be a little bit higher, so we'll have to wait and see. And finally, just some last things to kind of go over here. You can only get 30 boxes with materials per day and up to 300 for the entire event. You can only get 10 crate modules per day and up to 80 for the entire event. And finally, you can get a factory upgrade toolkit up to 300 for the entire event. So if you get in first place 300 times from April 6th to April 17th, good for you, but that will be your limit. Now for this, I'm assuming that the limit on the crate modules will put a hard cap on how many vehicles you can earn. 80, that makes it sound like you're going to need 20 crate modules in order to get one acceptance certificate. So by getting 80, you'll be able to get 4 acceptance certificates, which would mean that you can get any of the top level vehicles, as well as the AMD 35 SA35, but that's just speculation. We'll have to wait and see exactly how many of those we'll need in order to get an acceptance certificate, which would then be used to purchase one of these vehicles during the event. Now again, you can use the marketplace and also go and get various things. If you're a PlayStation or Xbox player, you can use GE in order to get these, but there are ways to kind of circumvent these caps. This is only for you earning them, not for you getting them. So you could theoretically get 50 boxes per day, materials per day, rather than just 30 if you're utilizing the marketplace as well. So there are ways to kind of circumvent this, but this cap of 30 boxes with materials per day, 10 crate modules per day, and also 300 factory upgrade toolkits over the entire event, these are all limited to how much you earn in events in the match itself, not on the marketplace. So the marketplace does not impact how many of these things you can actually get per day. But with all that said, that pretty much covers it. Hopefully, the crafting events are notorious in War Thunder for being extremely grindy. So if you guys notice that this one is extremely grindy, there is a good reason for it, because historically speaking, they are far too short on time. We're only getting about 11 days for this, and the requirements for playtime in order to get any of the top level rewards is crazy. The only one that you can actually possibly get through casual playing is the AMD 35 SA35. Otherwise, you're going to have to be playing this game hardcore or utilizing GE or the marketplace to be able to get any of the other vehicles typically. So that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Of course, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. I appreciate all of it. That said, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.